I feel my eyelids reluctantly creaking open from a heavy slumber. It feels as though I've been asleep for days. I don't remember where I am as I sit up and look around. Nothing looks familiar. Everything is blurry to me. My head pounds with anxiety and drowsiness. All I can see is grass and trees. Hopefully there are no wild Pokemon nearby. I just want to find the nearest town and eat something. My stomach rumbles with hunger, my mouth dry with thirst. As I walk down a nearby dirt path, I try hard to remember what happened last night, the day before, anything at all. Absolutely nothing pops into my head. But then I manage to recall running, lots of running. I don't know where I was going or why, but I couldn't stop running until my legs gave out. As I dwell on this faint memory, I reach into my pockets to see if I have any money for food. I feel something strange and pull it out to see it is a music box. I'm not sure why, but I feel strangely afraid to open it, so I simply shove it back into my pocket. As I walk over a small hill, I can see a little town in the valley below. Feeling a bit hopeful, I walk more quickly, trying to ignore my growling stomach. I'm just so ravenous, I have to eat something. I don't have any money, but luck may be on my side. Perhaps I'll come across a generous soul that will give me some. As I draw closer to the town, I spot a woman heading up the path in my direction. I approach her and ask if she can spare a few dollars. Looking at me, an expression of terror glues itself to her face. She gasps and backs away a bit, looking at me like I'm some kind of monster. Her hands trembling, she reaches into her back pocket and fishes out some dollar bills, throwing them at me before running away in fright. I'm not quite sure how to respond to such a thing, but at least now I can purchase a small meal. I'm dying for some hot, fluffy pancakes and a glass of skim milk. I try to stray from the moving crowd as I look for a diner. It isn't long before I find one. A man quickly moves out of my way as I open the front door. I can see terror in his eyes, but I ignore it. People seem to be afraid of just about anything these days. Walking up to the front counter, a waitress cheerily greets me. Still feeling a bit fatigued, I rest my arms atop the counter, money in hand, and ask her how many pancakes I can buy with these bills. She looks at them in shock, trying to catch her breath. I beg to her. I don't know why everyone is so scared of me, but please, don't be afraid. I wouldn't hurt a fly. I just want some food, ma'am. She finally swallows nervously and stutters that she cannot serve me. Sighing heavily, I wonder where to go now as my eyes gaze out into the sea of people walking through the main path in the town. Someone catches my eye, a person who looks as though she does not belong in this crowd. It is a small girl walking by herself. I catch a glimpse of something in her hand, a Charmander doll. She turns her head and looks right at me before disappearing into the crowd. When our eyes lock for that brief instant, it pounds something into my chest like a nail, an emotion that feels unnatural, yet oddly familiar. I can't put my finger on what it is, but push the thought away as I hurry after the girl. Something about her is calling after me. Pushing my way through the mass of human traffic, I seem to have lost her. It's as though she just vanished. For a few moments I stand there in a daze, confused. The lack of food must be playing tricks on my mind. A woman breaks my trance, calling my name out. I look to my side to see her walking up to me, a happy smile on her beautiful face. It is my wife, Sapphire. She makes her way through the crowd and embraces me without hesitation, catching me off guard since everyone else has been staying away from me. She runs her soft fingers through my hair as she speaks of how she has searched everywhere for me and is relieved to have found me. Facing me, she presses her lips to mine and urges I come home, behaving as though there is no one around us. I look about awkwardly as people walk around the two of us. I shake my head, saying I cannot go home yet. Looking a bit saddened, Sapphire asks why. I glance around for the little girl, explaining I have to find her. Suddenly, I spot her by a Pokemon Center and point, trying to show Sapphire. It is now I notice the girl is soaked, water dripping from her clothes. She clutches her Charmander doll tightly as she looks back at me shyly, with her bright green eyes. I turn to my wife to see if she spotted the girl. She gives me an odd smile and says that there is no one there, that I must be seeing things. She insists I come home, that she will make me a tower of pancakes if I just come along. I didn't know I had been away, at least not long. I allow her to guide me away from the town, too hungry to resist the bribe of homemade pancakes. She knows they are my favorite. As we get closer, she continues to speak, but her voice grows strangely distant. I try to clean out my ears, but it does not help. Eventually, I can't hear anything. Glancing behind myself, I see the little girl standing in the path we had just walked down. I jerk at Sapphire's hand, almost shouting to get her attention. She looks where I am pointing, but gives me another strange smile. I cannot hear her words, but I can tell she is saying, "There is no one there, honey." Her hand gently turns me back to the path ahead and leads me to our home. I glance back one last time to see the girl is still standing there, like a statue, frozen to the ground. As we step into our home, an odd white noise becomes the only audible sound, my heart beating more intensely. Seeing the living room, the kitchen, the dining area, it all brings muddy images to my mind, memories I'm having trouble recollecting. And then, I feel Sapphire's touch begin to slip away. Her body slowly vaporizes into the air like a ghost. I walk into the backyard for some fresh air, sitting near the lake. Slipping my shoes and socks off, I dip my sore feet into the cool water. I look down at it, my arms resting on my knees. In the reflection, my hands are stained red, but I see nothing on them before me. As I begin to stand up, disturbed by the image, a drop of water splashes into my eye. I squeeze it shut and rub my eyelids. When I open them, I look down again to see my hands are covered in blood, as is the front of my shirt. I look up as the white noise becomes stronger. Through it, I can hear faint laughter, barely louder than a whisper. I see it is coming from the girl cuddling her Charmander doll, pretending it is real. She is standing in the water, which is just under her knees. I gaze at the doll and focus hard, trying to recall where I've seen it from. Suddenly, I recognize the girl, as well as the doll. It hits me like a brick wall. The girl is my daughter, Adele. I had given her the doll as a gift after she became extremely interested in Pokemon training. She was never able to make her dream of becoming a Pokemon trainer come true when my wife died from cancer. I was so angry and selfish. We were meant to live together until our bodies could not carry on. Or so I had wished. My downward spiral transformed me after Sapphire died. Life without her haunted me every waking moment, and one morning I woke up in bed, and I just couldn't handle living the way I was anymore. I lost it, became what some people call crazy. I took out all my frustrations on the closest thing to me, which at the time was my daughter, unfortunately. I was in the kitchen, making her breakfast, and then out of nowhere, she began to bleed and bleed, her shirt a mess of blood, and I could not understand why, until I saw it was from the knife in my hand, stabbing her again and again. I went into a frenzy and drowned her in the lake our home resided by. It was madness, it was unspeakably wrong, but I couldn't contain my emotions forever. I'm only human after all. After I drowned Adele, I felt completely hollowed out, robbed of the two things dear to me, one by fate, another by my own hand. Ashamed of my unforgivable sin, I fled from the lake. I ran more than I ever have before. After what seemed like forever, my legs couldn't keep going, and I collapsed. A fluttery twinkle of noise sounded as I hit the ground. I realized it was coming from my pocket and pulled it out to reveal a very special music box. It had been Sapphire's. I carried it wherever I went to keep her with me. The soothing song of it calmed me, and shortly after my body gave out, I fell asleep, for how long I don't know. I feel my eyelids reluctantly creeping open from a heavy slumber. It feels as though I've been asleep for days. I don't remember where I am as I sit up and look around. Nothing looks familiar. Everything is blurry to me. My head pounds with anxiety and drowsiness.